Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Well, Piston fans, we had another exhibition game. We played Oklahoma City, and we came out victorious 128 to 125. We were down by 21 points in this game, and we fought and battled back. I will say both of our games, though, that we've kind of hung in there with our starters, but really who's deciding the game and who we're coming back against is not the probably rotation players of the other team. In both the first two games, we haven't had our rotation players in at the end of the game, so it's really not a big deal, about the exhibition games, win or lose, and it's really hard to say about how players play. Again, it depends on who they're going up against, but Oklahoma City did have their starters, their best players, all were playing in this game, and we did not. So it's so disappointing because Oklahoma City, I think they're at least like a year ahead of us in their rebuild, and they have a lot of really great young players, and we had no Cade Cunningham, which is heartbreaking after missing him all those games last year, and I was so much looking forward to watching him play tonight. I was very confident he was going to bounce back after a subpar game in the first exhibition game, but Bogey didn't play again, and Duren didn't play, and Monty Morris. So there's three starters, and one of our first guys off the bench probably did not play in this game. So really hard to say, and they're doing on different things, but I know that our guys came. Monty said that they've been working really hard in practice, and they scrimmaged hard, and that he's pushing them real hard, and they're playing way harder than what most teams would do, especially even right after our first exhibition game. We just came out, and he had them practice real hard again. I guess Cade was picking him up full court. I think my guess is Cade was not happy with his performance in the first game, and so he was really pushing himself and really coming out with energy. But I hope, it's great to make guys compete, and it's good that we have some competition and that the guys are going as hard as they can, and that's great for our team. But we just don't want any injuries. Especially Cade, we just want everybody to come into the regular season healthy. Anyway, so we came out in this game in the first 4 minutes. We only scored 4 points, and we had 4 turnovers, and, our starters looked lackluster. But the big story again for me is no Cade, no Monty Morris, no Bogey, and we still can't start Ivey. So that I wish I knew exactly what was going on, what Monty's feelings for Ivey really are. And I would have thought for sure when I found out Cade wasn't starting, I thought, oh yeah, Ivey will start for sure. And he still didn't. And they started Killian ahead of Ivey. And most Piston fans, after the last 3 years, I'm sure thought that Killian had no spot in the rotation and no chance. But Monty loves him, and he's played well. He played really well again tonight. He played good the first game. So, and Monty's talked about him, and again after the game tonight, about how he's practiced with the second team, but he came in and played with the first team, and how he's tough and he's competitive, and his goal should be to be a starter in the NBA. And so obviously, Monty's a big fan, and so that we'll just have to see what happens, and does Monty not like Ivey? Who knows? It's just really hard. Is the defense something bothers him? We certainly don't want Ivey to be DeAndre Ayton. So, Monty, whatever happened with DeAndre Ayton in Phoenix, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening here, because Ivey's a great kid, and he, has such a positive attitude. But I'm telling you, it was not good tonight. He came in there, and he was forcing up shots, and he was frustrated, and you could tell he wasn't himself, and he was just, I don't know. So it's just really going to be interesting to see how that relationship works out. Another thing with Phoenix, Monty had Jay Crowder. So whether it was Monty's decision or if it was the general manager's decision, but Jay Crowder, the last year Monty was there, he sat out the whole season. He was a starter the year before, and then they made the decision that they were going to start Cam Johnson, and so he didn't play. He played. They finally traded him to the Bucks, I think, but it was a weird thing. He had that run in, and he didn't even communicate with DeAndre Ayton, and they didn't even talk. They didn't even talk after it happened at the end in the playoffs where he benched him. So who knows? I'm not, I shouldn't even say anything to speculate, but if Monty doesn't like Ivey, but Ivey is a gifted, talented player, and I hope whatever's going on gets worked out, and I hope that, because I think he, thought he was going to be a big part of our future, and he still may be. He still probably will be. So anyway, take a quick look tonight. Bagley started. I don't know, after the last game where he didn't get to play until the third quarter, and then all of a sudden he came in and played great. But he played great tonight. 21 minutes, 4 out of 5, 1 for 1 on threes, and 7 rebounds and 2 assists in 21 minutes, 9 points. That's a great game. So here's Sasser. And we all love Sasser, and he played some great defense. He played great on Shea. He played unbelievable defense, and Shea's one of the best players in the league. He was first team All NBA, which means he's one of the 5 best players according to the voters, and he played tremendous defense on him. He played 31 minutes, but he was 2 for 10, and I said the last game he ended up being 3 for 9, but he was, until he made the shot with 6 seconds left, he was 2 for 8, and both shots he made were dunks. So the thing that you got to know about Sasser is not only is he not a good shooter, and he was 1 for 2 on free throws, and he wasn't good on free throws before, but he didn't finish by the basket even for overtime elite, which is wasn't very good competition. And I love Sasser, so. But he got 5 fouls right away in the third quarter. He had to sit down. He had 4 points and 5 fouls, partway through the third quarter. He's very aggressive, and that's what we need him to be. We need him to, he gets right up into people, and I was impressed. Man, he had 5 fouls. You get 6 to foul out in the NBA, and he just kept on going at him, even when he came back. And after he had the 5 fouls, Monty took him out right away in the third quarter when he picked up his 5th. Then he waited till the end of the third quarter, and he stuck him back in, and he didn't get a foul the rest of the way, and he still was aggressive. But his shooting, it can't be that bad. If he can't be going 2 for 10 and 2 for 8 with only 2 dunks. He has to get that shot better, but he does work real hard. He had 8 rebounds, which is awesome for a guard, and 2 assists, and he had 2 blocked shots, so that was good. But he had his 5 fouls. Stu had played 23 minutes, 5 for 7. He shot it great. 2 for 4. Shot his 3 hit on threes, which is what we need him to do. And he had 8 rebounds. He only got 3 rebounds last game, but he got 8. He had 2 assists, which is cool for him, and a block, and 12 points. So good game for Stu. And Killian, again, great game. 26 minutes, 7 for 13, but he was only 1 for 5 on threes, and so that was a big problem last year. He doesn't usually get to the rim, and he was like under 20% last year on threes, and he had 1 rebound and 4 assists. Burks and Harris are going to be cool. Burks played only 19 minutes, but he was 3 for 8, but he 3 for 6 on threes, and Harris played only 19 minutes, and he shot 3 shots. They were all threes, which is what we probably want him to do, and he was 2 for 3 on threes, so that's tremendous. And then there's there's 2 stars of the game. Wiseman was one of them, and so all you people that hate Wiseman, and I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying that he's going to be in our future. I'm not, it remains to be seen, but he has talent, and he deserves a chance. And here's the thing about Wiseman: we have to, with Bagley, we still have, if he earns the job here. Backup center job, he should get it. But we do have him under contract for 2 this year and next year. Wiseman, we have to find out because Wiseman's contract is up. He's a restricted free agent at the end of this year, so we have to make the decision on him. So we don't have, another year to find out what he's going to be. But he's 8 for 8. He came in and played some in the first half, but then he came in the second half and he 8 for 8. He made a 3. It's only one he attempted. 3 for 5 on free throws. 10 rebounds. 10 rebounds in only 23 minutes. And that's impressive. And he had an assist and a block and 20 points in only 23 minutes. And it's kind of similar to what Bagley did in the first game when Wiseman got to play before he did. So, like I said, Ivey came in and he looked like he was trying to force things. He looked like he tried to shoot it every time he touched it. And he was 6 for 17. And he's 0 for 6 on threes. And his 3-point shot has been really looking good. But he struggled, and I just wonder what is he thinking? The coach, he started Killian before me, he started Burks before me. He was going to Monty told the press that if Bogey would have been there, he would have started instead of Burks, and so all these guys in a sore starts ahead of him. So all these guys start ahead of him, and so he's got to think coach, what does coach think about me? So he had 13 points, 5 turnovers. Not only did he shoot poorly, especially on threes, but he turned it over 5 times. He had 3 assists and 5 turnovers, which is not good. He had 4 rebounds. But Stanley Umude, he played 21 minutes, 4 for 5 on threes, and 6 for 6 on free throws. So he scored 18 points and took only 5 shots. That is out of this world. And we win by 3 points. And he made the big shots down at the end. Sasser came in. Sasser was tough. He, there were a few times he drove in, and he's so small that in the NBA, I'm a little bit concerned. That he shot a floater, man. He shot it. He skied that ball up there to the rafters, and it dropped right in. But he was 5 for 11, which is great for a guard. 3 for 4 on threes, which is tremendous. 4 for 4 on free throws. 5 rebounds for this little guy, and 8 assists, which is the most impressive of all, and only 2 turnovers. And Monty praised him about how tough he was and how hard he works. And he got into Shea. He was guarding him one time, and Shea went at him, and Sasser just was tough and bumped him right back, and then Shea came at him again, and Marcus just bodies him up again, and then finally Shea goes to shoot it, and Sasser reaches in and then got a foul called on him. But he played great defense on him, and so, like I said, so did Asar. Played great defense. So Asar's going to be able to guard. I said that before the season. He, when guys like Shea that everybody's got a problem with, and he not that Asar's going to stop him, but guys like him and Doncic and LeBron and Mikal Bridges and all these great forwards there are all over the NBA. It's great to have a guy like Asar, even if he gets in foul trouble, but he's going to learn, but he's going to have to get better. So, anyway, it's interesting, with Ivey, like I said, not starting. It'll be fun to hear what, and if Monty says more about that situation anymore. Cade, it just is a bummer. People come out and said he was rusty the first game. Well, you know what? He's not any more rusty just because, he got hurt in the 12th game, but he's played a lot of basketball this summer. Those, playing against the USA team and playing in Rico Hines, it's maybe not quite the same as the exhibition game, preseason game, but it's still, I don't think that's an excuse. But, the GMs, they have this survey they've done the last 20 years that all the GMs anonymously take a poll on a whole bunch of different topics, and one of them was, who do you think is going to be the breakout player in the NBA? And 23% said that Anthony Edwards was going to be the breakout player, and in second was Cade Cunningham with 20%. So then he still gets a lot of respect from around the league. I just want to see him play. When Bagley had such a great game, but it was interesting that Bagley carried us in some games last year. There's those games that, here's the thing that with these injuries, last year we would have got off to a better start. Burks and Bagley did not play for the first month, and so we had no bench. Our bench got crushed every game. Our starters played okay, and then our bench got beat, more than doubled up, and that was hard. But I'm going to talk real quick. Here's a player. There's a player that a post player. There, he shot 65%, 61% on free throws, 12.8 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 0.9 steals, 1.3 blocks, and averaged 13.2 points a game. We have another player. He shot 53% from the floor, 71% on free throws. Oh, and these, by the way, I should have said this first. These are per 36 minutes. So if you take a player and calculated how many points and how many rebounds they would have got in 36 minutes, which is a game's 48 minutes. But so in the NBA they do that. To compare players, because some players might play more than others, they do per 36. So anyway, I'm just going to tell you, Duren had shot 65% from the floor, which is unbelievable. 61% on free throws, which is not good enough. He's got to get better at that. 12.8 rebounds, so almost 13 rebounds per 36 minutes. 1.6 assists, and that number is going to go way up this year. I guarantee you that. And he had 0.9 steals. I think that's going to go up. He got 1.3 blocks per 36 minutes, and our team needs that to go up. And I'm confident he's going to score more than 13.2 points for that. So Wiseman shot 53% and 71% from the line, 11.5 rebounds per 36 minutes, 1 assist, and 1.2 blocks, and averaged 18 points per 36 minutes. Marvin Bagley, 53% from the floor, 75% on free throws, 10.8 rebounds, almost 11 per 36 minutes, 1.4 assists, 0.7 steals, 1.1 block, and 18.3 points per 36 minutes. And then we have Stu. Stu shot 44% from the floor, and he did shoot a lot of threes, so that's not quite compared. But here's the thing that people don't know about Stu. He was one of the worst finishers around the rim in his first 3 years in the NBA. And for a post player, he was near the bottom of the league. And one writer says that how Stu's a hard worker, which he is. There's nobody that works harder, and how he's going to improve it. And so that's one thing I know about Stu. He's going to improve. Well, guess what? His percentage around the rim has gone down from his rookie year. It went down to his second year, and it went down even more his third year. So anyway, he shot 44%, 73% on free throws, 10.3 rebounds per 36 minutes. So he, out of those 4 post players, if they projected over the same number of minutes, Stu was the worst rebounder, and 0.9 blocks. So he was the worst shot blocker, and 14.4 points. And so he scored less per 36 minutes than Bagley and Wiseman. He scored a little bit more than what Duren scored. But obviously, if you look at those stats, and you would determine, especially with the leap that Duren's taken, that he's the best. My thing is not to knock Stu. He played great tonight, and I hope he continues to, 2 for 4 on threes. He doesn't even have to be that good. If he can shoot, close to 40%, he's going to be good. And he plays hard, and he rebounded good tonight, but he doesn't always. But he's not just this great defender. My thing is just that he's automatically given things. I had to laugh. One of the Piston podcasters, he tweeted out at halftime that what some of the highlights were of the game so far. The first half were Ivey driving to the basket and Stu finishing around the rim. Well, Stu made, in the first half, he made one 3, and then he made 1 2. So one of the highlights of the half was Stu finishing around the rim, and he made 1 shot. But that's what happens with Isaiah Stewart, is people love him so much because of his effort, and Troy said that we had to pay him that contract because he exemplifies everything that we want in our players, and he does. But if he doesn't back it up and play well enough, like the first game he's 0 for 6 on threes, and he's limited defensively. He he switches out and can guard people. That's the one part of the area he does. So automatically everybody says, like, he's a great defensive player. And everybody automatically says that Bagley and Wiseman are terrible defenders. And they're not good. But the difference is really not as big. And so, it's funny to me how much people love him and how much they hate the other guys. And we'll see what happens. So it's going to be very interesting what happens. I think we're lucky that we have all those 4 big guys, because then we're going to have, one of them's going to always be hurt. Like I said that earlier, that between Wiseman, Bagley, and Duren, I bet half the season at least one of them is hurt. So it's good that we have all of them, and we'll just have to see and have to play out. And I'm sure probably one of them will be gone by the end of, or before the end of next year, but we'll just have to wait and see. So I did want to say real quick that Oklahoma City is, I think the Pistons have done a good job. I think Troy's done a good job. I don't think he's maybe not done the perfect job. I think he falls in love. He's in love with certain players, and Stewart's one of those. And I know that he talks with Monty, and Monty ends up, I think, doing things that Troy wants him to do. And I just think that it'll be interesting, because I'm sure Monty has the final say on everything. So when push comes to shove, we're not even going to know what the rotation is going to be after the season starts. We're going to know more once the season starts, and there's all this talk and going around. Ivey might end up starting, by the beginning of the year. But I'm going to tell you that Stan Presti, the general manager of Oklahoma City, and that's where Troy was the assistant general manager for a long time, so he got to learn from Stan. But Stan is the best general manager in the NBA. He's got this team with all these great young players that he's drafted. They did have a huge advantage by getting to trade Paul George and getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So they got one of the top 5 players in the league that's really young. And, Shai signed another contract. So they have him for 4 more years after this year for like $33 million, $36 million, $38 million, $41 million, which is peanuts. Is low money for one of the top 5 or 10 players in the league, and he's still like 25 years old. And he's the youngest player to shoot. He scored 30 points a game. He averaged 30 points a game and shoot over 50%. And so they got lucky with that. Plus, they got a bunch of draft picks for Paul George besides getting Shai. But they have so many draft picks. In 2024, they have 4 picks, 4 first-round picks. 2025, they have 4 first-round picks. 2026, they have 3 first-round picks. 2027, they have 2. And I know they have extra picks in 2029. And so what they can do is keep on doubling back. So, again, Troy's did a good job for what, we had nothing. He had nothing to trade for and nothing to give picks. We had to pay Blake Griffin $36 million his final year not to play. And we got rid of Andre Drummond for nothing. And so, he really had nothing to start out with. But they're stacked. And so they can combine draft picks or they can trade back and get them later years. So they have so many good young players, right now, Oklahoma City. And Chet looked awesome. So I wouldn't be shocked if Chet got Rookie of the Year. I know that Wemby's going to have the hype. They went head-to-head, and it was a great battle. Both scored over 20 and took it at each other. The funniest part about it is both of them drove hard, got fouled by each other, I think, and came up and flexed. And it's hilarious. These two guys are not exactly Mr. Universe. They're both scrawny little guys, and so they flex their arm, and you can see that little teeny bump on their bicep. But I still think, if based on past years, Oklahoma City's going to be really good. They're going to win a lot of games, and the Spurs aren't. And so if the voters do what they've done in the past couple of years, it's gone to the rookie who plays on the team that, contributed to winning the most. And they had to win, That's why they gave it to Scotty Barnes. Had to get it because his team won, and so did Paulo's team won a lot of games. Plus, he did score a lot of points. So anyway, I thought this was really interesting. I heard Sam Presti say, as an organization, you want to walk with these guys bench players, two-way players, star players, and you want to explore their potential. You draft people, and you have to develop them, develop professionals and explore their potential together, and that's what their organization's about. So, and it's evident in everything they do. It's evident in their G League team, and everything they do about their player development is in a league of its own, really. And they got that Jalen Williams. That's just when it was second runner-up in Rookie of the Year last year, and he's just going to be unbelievable. And Giddey's really tough. And they got Chet, and they got the other Jay Williams. They've drafted really smart. They've been really smart about drafting. They got all those picks stacked up. So anyway, we just, like I said, we don't have any extra picks in any rounds, and we still owe one pick for the when we traded for Stewart. So anyway, I just did want to mention real quick that Amen Thompson, in his first game with Houston, he played 21 minutes and he was 1 for 9. So those guys, hadn't shot good, but he had 9 rebounds and he had 3 turnovers. He scored 7 points. Cam Whitmore, and we won't know who the best rookie is out of draft classes. You really don't even know. I think after maybe 3 years in the league, you have a much better idea of who's going to be the best player. But even after 3 years, you don't always know. Some guy could take a huge jump after 3 years. But Cam Whitmore, the guy I wanted the Pistons to draft, and I'm happy with Sasser. So, but Cam Whitmore, 17 minutes, 6 for 10 from the floor, 3 for 4 on threes, 4 rebounds, 0 turnovers, and 17 minutes. So he wants to shoot the 3, and he shot a step back, and it looks really good. So just again, the concern with him was that there was some medical report out there that he might not, his knees might not hold up for like more than 5 years. So people shied away from him. So anyway, I appreciate you listening. And hang in there. It's not, these exhibition games, preseason games are not the end all, to panic or to get too excited about anything. But it is fun to watch basketball. It's more fun to watch basketball when Cade's playing. But that, again, hopefully we only have 2 more preseason games, which is disappointing. Some teams have 6 preseason, and we only had 4. So I don't think we play for a while. So anyway, if you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe. Click that little button that says subscribe. Leave a thumbs up. If you're listening on Spotify, please leave a 5-star rating if you like, and do something nice for somebody today. Be the reason they feel cared for and loved. And go Pistons.